come on board as chairman of our advisory board. And since 97, we've exploded. We defend religious freedom, parents' rights, the sanctity of human life, all without charge. And we're sort of unique in several ways, Rebecca. One is that we have the largest footprint of its kind across the country. We have offices in Miami, Atlanta, Boston, 3 in New York, Chicago, Detroit, Dallas, Houston, West Coast, mountains, East, all over the country, and Hawaii. And we're committed to making sure that our freedom and liberties are not squelched by the government. We're also unique in that we work hard to make sure that everyone gets home. So we don't just cherry pick a few high profile cases. Our goal is to make sure that no one is left on the side of the road when it comes to these basic fundamental freedoms and liberties that are so much under attack. And so it's quite a challenge at times, but we really work hard to meet that goal, to make sure that no one's left on the side of the road.
And Brad, back in 1997, I hardly imagine that you could have predicted where the country would be today, where religious freedom is trampled. People, of faith are attacked day in and day out. We see grandmas that are being arrested for praying the rosary in front of an abortion clinic center. We see how Catholics have been targeted. We see how parents are being stripped of their rights to take care of, to know what's happening to their children in the school system. All of this, who would have thought right back in 97 that it would have gotten so bad?
Yeah, in the 90s, I remember we reached the point of 12 cases in active litigation. I thought, well, I think we reached our limit. Fast forward today, we have 265 cases in active litigation. Some of those are representing a large number of plaintiffs, like our lawsuit against the city of San Francisco for purging people of faith from the workplace. We have about 1,000 plaintiffs just in that one lawsuit. So things have changed. I would not think of America being where it is today back in 97. And yet God in his providence has raised us up for such a time as this. It's no accident that we have exploded in just the last few years and been in a position to be able to step up to the plate to hit every pitch that comes our way all across the country. And when we had the churches shut down, churches and synagogues, it was outrageous. And the red states, the freedom-loving states, they quickly opened up the churches along with the restaurants and everyone else. But when it came to the oppressive states, the blue states like California, and California's governor, Gavin Newsom, it was a different picture. They opened up the strip clubs, the pot shops, the restaurants, but they said, churches, no, you stay closed. It was illogical. It was scientifically totally irrational. We stepped up to the plate. We took it head on, and with rapid fire litigation practice, we took it all the way to the Supreme Court in a very short period of time via an emergency writ. And the Supreme Court, in just 3 days after reviewing the case, voted 6-3, ordering Governor Gavin Newsom open those churches now, and it sent shockwaves across the country, and other intolerant governors of blue states quickly backtracked their tyranny.
It is just terrific. And our founding fathers, thank God we've got a constitution like we've got here, that we've got a constitutional republic, and that it still matters, and that we have some originalist judges that know how to read the Constitution. I think a lot of people today are afraid. They're afraid of speaking out. They're afraid of saying what's on their mind. They're afraid they'll be targeted. But beyond being afraid, people are being brainwashed. There's a new culture. There's a culture war here in America where parents are saying, I've got to go along with this kind of critical race theory, DEI. Business owners are saying, I've got to adopt some of these policies that really go against their religious beliefs. What kind of message might you give to ordinary people that are listening that say, I'm afraid because I don't really know that I have recourse, but you're saying, no, there's hope, and you do.
Oh, there's tons of hope. First off, with regard to business owners, we at Pacific Justice, we defend business owners who want to stand by their convictions, and not only defend it, we also have training. We have a training video, 2-part training video, free. Everything's free on our website without charge, and it's called Faith in the Workplace. And business owners can download it, part 1, part 2. It's full and complete, very great training. And then, of course, we defend business owners, like a woman's Korean spa up in Washington State is being sued because they wouldn't allow a man to go in and take off his clothes and be naked in front of naked women and their teenage daughters. I mean, this is crazy. And yet the Washington State Human Rights Commission is suing to destroy this wonderful Christian-owned business. And so we at Pacific Justice are representing them, and we've done it for businesses all across the country. But the even more egregious attack has been on parents and the rights of parents over their kids. In the public schools, for example, I never thought I would see what's happening today, where we have outright painful, destructive indoctrination of children to encourage gender confusion, encourage conflict with parents. And we have, like, for example, the Attorney General of New Jersey. He ordered every public school teacher to require that teachers had to lie to parents about their children's gender confusion, and also force the teacher to use pronouns to affirm confusion, to encourage confusion on kids that had issues. This is inhumane, it's unconstitutional. So we at Pacific Justice Institute, we don't get angry, we sue. So
I love it.
So that's what we did, and we are taking on the Attorney General of New Jersey, and we're not afraid to. We have a great office there in Trenton, New Jersey, and it, along with our many other offices in places like Detroit, Chicago, et cetera, are equipped to take on any kind of tyranny that comes our way.
That is just terrific. And it is so important that we have groups like you that are out there helping the American people. Do you think that there is a chance that if Trump is brought into office, he mentions that he wants to get rid of the public school system as it looks today. Do you think that that alone could change things in terms of the power that schools and the education system has over our children, especially our youngest?
Oh, it would be huge. We're already seeing the positive benefits in states like Florida that passed school vouchers or school choice. In fact, we were behind that. We at Pacific Justice Institute we're working hard to make sure that it applied to every single family in Florida, and not just a few school districts or few groups of people, but everyone. And that is now spreading all across the country, especially in the red states. And eventually the blue states are going to have to as well, as more and more parents leave the blue states to enter the freedom and the liberty and protections of the red states. I'm very optimistic about that. Of course, we have other challenges to the family in addition to the public schools, that being also what's happening on the internet. We need to have an internet that is responsive to we the people, and I believe that many Republicans right now are pushing for legislation in that regard. States like Texas and others have moved in that regard to protect our kids and protect parents' rights. And then we also, of course, have issues dealing with social workers taking children from wonderful families.
I know it, yeah.
And the reason they're taking them is not because the families aren't feeding their kids or their drug addict parents. No, it's because the parents do not want to encourage their children to be gender confused.
Which is a good parent that doesn't want their child subjected.
Right.
You know, I always say God doesn't make mistakes. You know, when he made you a boy or a girl, that's exactly how he intended it to be. So we need to help our children who are struggling with this kind of mental confusion and show compassion, but not butcher our children.
Right.
I want to get your take before we let you run on the Supreme Court ruling today regarding our Second Amendment and the type of machine gun that they said, in fact, is now legal. Under Donald Trump, during the era of Trump, there was a hold on that type of, and forgive me if I can't recall the name of the something barrel.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you're talking about. And President Donald Trump's
barrel.
His appointments to the United States Supreme Court played a critical role in the decision to affirm and recognize that the Second Amendment right to bear arms means what it says what it means, and we have the justice on the Supreme Court that rule accordingly.
Yeah.
And if people want to change the Constitution, we've got an amendment process, but we don't need activist judges like Sotomayor and Justice Jackson trying to dictate their agenda and their wishes in violation to what the Constitution says. So we're very pleased with this decision and this outcome. People need to be equipped to know what their rights are, and that's one reason why we at Pacific Justice Institute have such great resources on our website. One piece I'd like to mention, if I may, before we depart, and that is, it's an article called 12 Steps to Protect Your Children from CPS or social workers. Every family in America, grandparents out there, they need to go to our website, download this, and send this to their kids so they can protect their children. Every family should have it. The stakes are simply too high, and what we talk about is very, very effective in stopping social workers in their tracks.
Unbelievable that an organization that was really formed to protect children, the protection services, child protection services,
Right.
has turned out to really be an organization that we can trust. So having
Right.
those resources is so key, and I'd be thrilled to put them up on amac.us and make sure that every parent and grandparent has those resources. Thank you so much for being with me, sitting down here, and for the great work that you're doing each and every day. People ought to check your website out, and that's pacificjusticeinstitute.org or .com.
Or pacificjustice.org.
There you
or
go.
they could do just simply pji.org, and they can also text PJI to the number 71541. I remember it as a 71-year-old man having lunch with a 54-year-old woman, and there's a 1-year-old in a high chair. That's how I remember 71541. And we're here to serve all your listeners. And I want to thank your organization for the work that you do as a true advocate for mature Americans across this country. It's a breath of fresh air. And we at Pacific Justice Institute are very supportive of what you do and how you serve so many across our nation.
Same with you. Brad Dacus, thank you again so much.
Thank you.
And God bless you.
You too.
We'll be back in just a few moments.